tank. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches, and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, it's a wrap.
All-time greats. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence was left in awe after witnessing Terence Crawford's intense training ahead of the Canelo showdown. Having faced him in the ring, Spence already knew Crawford possessed a high fight IQ and world-class skills. But what he saw recently took things to another level. The speed, precision, and footwork on display were simply unreal. Crawford looked like When Terence Crawford looked back on his clash with Errol Spence, the mutual respect between the two top-tier fighters was undeniable. Known for his calculated and cerebral approach in the ring, Crawford highlighted how he methodically breaks down his opponent.
How hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
But he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit.
Really?
And given that everybody say, oh, he's a big puncher, he's this. I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down, just wear them down. I don't think, he has a one-punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like, boom, sleep. You know what I mean? I think it's like, bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. And then he just wear you down.
Right, yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him, knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, dropping nobody with one punch. You already see him, wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything started weakening. And those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
Former world champion and boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp comparison between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Algieri noted that while Crawford has consistently dominated his opponents and maintained full control in nearly every fight, Canelo has shown vulnerability, at times appearing to be outclassed or, as insiders say, bossed around. A prime example was Canelo's defeat to Dimitri Bivol, where Bivol's size, jab, and disciplined approach dictated the pace. Algieri's analysis highlights that Crawford, even while moving up in weight,
and Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around. Yep. Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another, Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that. But I'll tell you this.
Well, contrast and compare. Maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So when you talk about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, no, this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object getting ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights. The Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy Joe Saunders situation. When he gets when he gets that in his head that, he's got an extra chip, he becomes a really dangerous man.
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman offered a well-rounded analysis of the Crawford versus Canelo matchup, noting that while both fighters bring distinct advantages, Crawford holds the edge based on recent form and overall skill set. Kellerman pointed to Crawford's exceptional timing, switch-hitting versatility, and surging knockout power as signs of a fighter at his peak. In contrast, he observed that Canelo, though still a top-tier competitor, has shown subtle signs of decline, particularly in his footwork and offensive output. Still, Kellerman acknowledged Canelo's size and strength as potential factors in close exchanges.
Counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter.
The dynamics of this mega fight are truly compelling. Terence Crawford is venturing into uncharted territory by moving up in weight, a move that often comes at the expense of speed and endurance. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, though seasoned at this level, is no longer the explosive powerhouse he once was. In recent bouts, he's shown a shift toward a more measured, controlled style, with fewer knockouts and less of the relentless pressure that defined his prime. This contrast suggests that while Crawford faces a physical challenge, Canelo's gradual decline in certain areas helps balance the scale.